last week I know it was important just to sort of get back on the winning side, but you have a very different type of challenge this week against Columbus. I don't know what's the attitude going into this game.
Yeah, I mean we know how they play. They really try to play, which is I think it's a great style of play. It's not exactly the same like us, but in some ways there's a lot of similarities, which kind of could help us. Knowing what we want to do with the ball. Maybe they do it a little bit differently, but the idea is the same. So it kind of, at least for me as an attacker, makes it a little easier to predict what they want to do and how to defend it. But nevertheless, it will be a tough game against a good opponent, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the game.
Does it feel like a measuring stick type of game?
In some ways, it does. Yeah, I think they're definitely one of the better teams in the East. So, yeah, I mean, we want to build on the Austin performance. Like you said, we have lost previously quite a few games in a row, including the Club World Cup and the last couple of MLS games. So getting the win against Austin was good to kind of start the winning momentum. And yeah, it's another home game, and I think we've been pretty good at home this year, so we want to definitely keep that going.
Last year you guys played them on the road, good result, kind of a funky game. Is that you don't get to play Eastern Conference teams in consecutive years very often? I don't know. Is that something that is on your mind, or something that you think will be on their mind?
No, I mean, look, that game was chaos. Almost didn't feel like a real game in many ways. Now, will they think that we went to their place last year and beat them and want to come here in revenge? Yeah, that's normal, but. Even if we haven't played them next year, as I said, we're all competitors and we all want to win, whether we've previously lost to the same team or last year or whatever. So, yeah, I don't think the result last year over there will hold any meaning towards the game this Sunday. Sorry.
The idea is to go in the middle. How would you rate how you guys are doing on the counterattack? Brian talks about you guys need to attack from the middle. You think you're...
Yeah, I mean, it's... you can write down how to counterattack, because if the space is not in the middle and you run, you run like a donkey for no reason. It may look good that you made the run, but we need to make a run with the purpose, and when we make a run, to help the guy on the ball and actually be a realistic option that he can play you the ball, not just run for the sake of running and that. So I think counterattacking and making those runs, it's about effort and mentality. Just having your mindset set to it that we know when we win the ball in these areas, we want to have at least multiple runners going in behind that we can expose them and expose their back line, because they keep such a high back line and they want to squeeze you and press you right away high up the field, which means there's more space behind them. So I think that's one of the things we're working on this week.
When you get in your primary system, how important is it to find the pockets then?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Columbus also watched how we play, and just like there's certain areas that we want to close down for them and make it harder for them. I'm sure they will do the same. So then again, it's about movement, and we have multiple players that can fill in different positions. So rather than the same people occupying same spaces, I think we're trying to also work on the rotations where we're not all stuck in the same area, but multiple players can occupy different positions, and as long as we hold the positions and our shape, we should have options.
Is there some intentionality to try to move from left to right in terms of, I think everybody tries to do that, but is that something you guys are looking at doing more, or do you think it's
Yeah, I mean, it just wears you down. It wears an opponent down if you shift if you move the ball from right to left multiple times. It wears you down, and we're going to play on Sunday at 2 p.m. on turf. It'll be hot, so I think having some extra ball possession could matter over the long 90 minutes.
One more, go ahead, Jess.
Steph is one save away from reaching 1,000 saves at the club. What does that say about him as a keeper and just an overall leader at the club?
Yeah, I feel like every week when we finish a game, we're clapping and congratulating him for a new record that he set. So no, I mean it's one of a kind career. so many years, and he did so many great things. Mainly here, but in other places too. And yeah, he's a great captain, great leader, and I think everybody knows what Steph is like. So kind of looking forward to it. That he's going to break another record this weekend.
You could speak to this too. What does it do? You talked about Steph coming here. What does it do to a player when you change teams, and what can that do for you in your career?
When you change teams?
Yeah. It's the opportunity that's there.
Yeah, it's also kind of, it's a change in life, right?
Yeah.
It's not just, you're not just changing the shirt you're going to wear, but you're changing places where you live and meeting new people, working with new people, new teammates, and it's a big change in life. But then as a competitor, I feel like you get that, maybe that little bit extra in you. You've come to a new place, you wanna impress. When you get to a new place, you kind of want to show your worth. So you may find that little bit extra within you. But yeah, other than that, I think it's the same.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. $50,000 question. Offensively, what do you need to do to stay consistent? You scored 2 goals, but what's working for you offensively, and how can you do that in terms of Saturday's game? Sunday's game?
Yeah, I feel like we created, a couple of good looks against Austin that we didn't finish, and it's going back to the Club World Cup games that we have played. There is games that you create multiple chances, but games like this one could be against Columbus, and your playoffs and your semifinals and finals. Those games, you might not create as many chances, so just got to be clinical. I feel like when we score our first goal in a game, we're in a really good place, and it helps us a lot as a team. So I think that will be the aim this Sunday as well.
You mentioned this earlier, but we've talked a lot this year about how the afternoon heat can sometimes slow the ball down at Lumen Field. You guys are going to be back on turf. Is that something you guys end up actually talking about, and how do you compensate for sort of that difference?
Yeah, I mean, we always say that it's not an excuse because it will be same for both teams, but I think even just looking at the Club World Cup games that are still going on right now, those early games that are at like 12 or 1, 2 p.m. and the sun's out, it's not necessarily the heat that will affect you as a player, that you're feeling hot and whatnot, but it's the field, right? It just makes it so much drier and the ball goes slower. And you see the differences, at least I've seen since I've been watching the Club World Cup. In the game that's played at 12 and the game that's played at 7 is a complete difference in the tempo of the game. And it doesn't matter necessarily who are the teams on the field, but the game's just played better when it's, the ball moves faster, and, you can slide as well without getting stitches and so on and so on. So we know that 2 p.m. on Lumen will be tough, but it will be tough, for them just as it will be tough for us. So we have to be extra good with the ball, knowing that it might not go as smooth as it would on a night game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.